They say your children will love you no matter what. That's a lie people tell themselves to sleep at night. I knew the moment I saw her eyes at that dinner table, cold, glassy, victorious, that the daughter I raised was gone, replaced by something much darker, something shaped by entitlement, social media applause, and a hunger for control I never saw coming. I'm Harold Keene, 72 years old, widowed, retired contractor, spent 40 years building houses and breaking my back so my family could have the life I never did. But this story isn't about hard work or sacrifice. It's about betrayal. It's about a daughter who turned on her father when the money ran out and the plan I set in motion the moment I saw it coming. Her name is Madison, my only child. She used to hold my hand when we crossed the street, used to cry when I left for work. And now? Now she cries on TikTok about how I emotionally abused her because I wouldn't pay for a $92,000 wedding with a horse-drawn carriage and imported flowers from Tuscany. Let me take you back to 2 months ago. That was the beginning of the end. It was a Sunday afternoon in late May. I'd just finished mowing the lawn when Madison stopped by with her fiancé, Chase, a tall, glossy-haired tech guy with more teeth than spine. They sat on my porch with that kind of practiced sweetness you only see before a sales pitch. Madison pulled out her iPad and turned it to face me. "Dad," she smiled. "We finally found the perfect venue." I wiped the sweat from my neck. "Good for you. Where is it?" "The Laurel Estate. It's in Napa. Huge vineyard, private lake, chandeliers imported from Austria." I blinked. "Sounds expensive." She hesitated. "Well, yeah, the whole thing is around 92 grand. I laughed before I could stop myself. "For a day?" She frowned. "It's not just a day. It's the beginning of our lives." Chase nodded like a bobblehead. "It's not about the money. It's about the experience." I leaned forward. "Then you two can experience paying for it yourselves." Silence. Madison's mouth parted in slow disbelief. "Dad, are you serious?" "As a heart attack." Her eyes narrowed. "After everything? After Mom died, and you said you'd always take care of me?" "I did take care of you. I paid for your college, your car, that apartment you trashed in LA. Madison, I'm retired. I have savings, but I'm not your personal ATM." I thought she'd cry. I was wrong. Instead, she stood up, gathered her iPad, and said 6 words I'll never forget. "You'll regret this. I promise you." The dinner came 2 weeks later. She insisted on hosting a family peace night at her condo. Said she wanted to smooth things over, talk like adults. I should have known better. Her place was spotless. Candles lit. Plates neatly set. Chase greeted me at the door with a fake laugh and a half-hearted hug. Something about the way he didn't look me in the eye put me on edge. We ate steak and red potatoes. She poured wine, talked about childhood memories, asked if I remembered when she broke her arm falling off the monkey bars. I laughed. I remembered everything. And for a moment, I thought maybe she was right, maybe we could get back to some version of before. But then dessert came. Lemon tarts. Madison's favorite. She served mine with a flourish, eyes locked on mine. 10 minutes later, she screamed, "Oh my God, what is this?" She held up something small, something wrapped in plastic. "It's a pill," she gasped. "A Percocet." "Dad, did you put something in my dessert?" The room spun. "What the hell are you talking about?" Chase stood, backing away. "Whoa, man. That's not cool. Are you trying to drug her?" My mouth dried. "What? Of course not. Why would I, Madison? This is crazy." "I don't feel good," she moaned, collapsing into his arms. "I think I'm gonna pass out." The police arrived 12 minutes later. Someone had already called them before she screamed. I pieced it together later, probably Chase with his phone in his lap under the table. The setup was perfect. No witnesses. Her fake fainting. My fingerprints on the wine glass. The whole story was ready before I even said a word. They didn't arrest me that night, but they made it clear I was under investigation. I'd need a lawyer. Madison texted me the next morning. "You should have paid for the wedding." I stared at the message, a knot forming in my gut. I had spent my whole life playing by the rules, and now those rules were being used as weapons against me. But here's the thing. You don't spend 40 years solving other people's problems without learning how to fix your own. And I had a plan. The first step was simple: act broken. I didn't deny anything outright. I told the officer I didn't know how that pill got there. Played the role of the confused old man. Let them think I was slipping, maybe even senile. Let Madison feel like she'd won. But behind closed doors, I got to work. I pulled old blueprints from my garagino, not actual house plans. Life plans. I made copies of every text message she ever sent me. I dug through bank statements, gift receipts, her college records. I even reached out to her old roommate and Lathe, one who moved out after Madison trashed the apartment during her spiritual rebirth phase. Then I found it. A private group chat. Publicly invisible, but leaked through a friend of a friend. Screenshots of her and Chase laughing about the plan. Calling it Operation Payback. Calling me an old idiot who doesn't know what's coming. They didn't know I had friends too. One of them? A retired cyber investigator named Lenny who owed me a favor. And Lenny? He found more. Madison hadn't just planned to frame me. She had opened a credit card in my name last year. Spent almost $6,000 at designer boutiques. She even tried to apply for a loan using my social security number. It wasn't just manipulation. It was fraud. And suddenly, I had more than a defense. I had leverage. I met with Lenny in the back booth of an old diner we used to frequent after our fishing trips. He brought a folder, thick with documents, screenshots, and time-stamped metadata. Everything was neat, precise. My daughter had committed digital crimes with the arrogance of someone who thought her old man couldn't even work an iPhone. She's sloppy, Lenny muttered, stirring his coffee. Entitled kids usually are. She left a trail wide as a freeway. I flipped through the evidence, my chest tight. Every charge, every forged e-signature, every mocking message she'd typed in her little group chat. She ever steal from you before? He asked. I shook my head. Not like this. She's lied. Manipulated. But this is another level. Lenny tapped a page. She's in over her head. But that works for you. He leaned in, voice low. You don't go to the cops yet. Not until you get everything. Not until she thinks she's destroyed you. Then you hit her where it hurts. I nodded slowly. And where's that? He smiled grimly. Her image. For the next 3 weeks, I let myself be destroyed in public. The accusations went viral. Madison had started dropping hints online, cryptic Instagram captions, sad-eyed selfies, stories tagged with healing and trauma survivor. Then came the podcast appearance. Some influencer named Bree interviewed her. Madison cried, told the world I had always been emotionally manipulative and that she wasn't ready to share everything, but that something dangerous happened that night. I watched it in silence from my living room, fists clenched. The comments flooded in. You're so brave, Madison. I can't believe your dad would do that. Stay strong, queen. The media ran with it. Tech bride accuses father of drugging her over wedding dispute. They blurred my face, but the story stuck. Even the neighbors avoided me. The mailman stopped waving. But I stayed quiet. Because step 2 of my plan was patience. The wedding was scheduled for August 8th. Despite the drama, Madison and Chase moved forward. Somehow, she still thought she'd win. Still thought she could force my hand with public shame. Still thought, deep down, I'd give in and pay just to end the humiliation. But I wasn't backing down. Instead, I booked a quiet meeting with a probate attorney and gave him everything. The screenshots, the credit card charges, the stolen social security number, the plan to drug herself and pin it on me. Then I signed a new will. I want it airtight, I told him. He nodded. Don't worry. If she comes after you again, you'll be holding the leash. But I wasn't done yet. I called Lenny. It's time. He smiled through the phone. Let's bring the house down. The day before the wedding, Madison texted me. You still have time to do the right thing. I didn't answer. That night, Lenny scheduled the upload. We didn't send it to the cops. We didn't leak it to the press. We posted it on her influencer account. Hacked straight in through a weak security question she hadn't changed since college. Her password recovery answer was still Tinkerbell. It was a 5-minute video. Narrated. Subtitled. Cleanly edited. It started with her voice from the group chat. Let's see how daddy likes being humiliated for once. Then came the screenshots of her saying she'd fake faint. The pill wrapper in her hand. The email she sent Chase marked Operation Payback. Then the loan application in my name. The receipts from Gucci and Louis Vuitton. The video ended with her laughing in a mirror selfie, captioned, He thinks I still love him, LOL. We posted it at 6:02 a.m. By 8:17 a.m., it had 120,000 views. By 10 a.m., her wedding planner canceled. I didn't attend the wedding. There wasn't one to attend. Instead, I sat on my back porch with a cup of tea and watched the storm unfold through my phone. The video was everywhere. Reddit threads, Twitter takedowns, TikTok explainer videos, commentators calling it the most brutal parental betrayal of the year. She posted one tearful video, denying everything. Then she deleted it an hour later. Chase went radio silent. By the afternoon, her sponsors had dropped her. Her management cut ties. Her influencer career built on curated trauma and fake empowerment collapsed like a wet paper bag. I thought I'd feel joy, but I didn't. Only grief. Not just for what she did, but for what I lost. That night, she came to my door. Disheveled. Mascara running. Phone in one hand. No ring on the other. I didn't say a word as she walked in. She stood in the living room, looking at the couch where we used to watch cartoons. The kitchen where I used to pack her lunch. The walls still filled with pictures of her smiling face from years when her heart hadn't calcified. Finally, she spoke. I stayed silent. She looked up, eyes rimmed red. You ruined me. No, I said. You did that to yourself. She took a shaky breath. So what now? You just cut me out? Forever? I looked at her carefully. I didn't raise a monster. But that's what you chose to become. She flinched. I handed her a letter. It was a printed copy of my new will. I'm not giving you money. Not now. Not ever. But if you ever want to rebuild this family, not for money, not for followers, but for real, you know where the door is. She looked at the envelope like it might burn her. Then she turned and walked out. I haven't heard from her since. But I leave the porch light on. Just in case. Because even after everything, I'm still her father. And maybe, someday, she'll remember who she used to be. I haven't heard from her since. But I leave the porch light on. Just in case. Because even after everything, I'm still her father. And maybe, someday, she'll remember who she used to be. The silence after her departure wasn't peaceful, it was heavy. I kept expecting the phone to ring. Kept thinking I'd hear her voice on the porch again. This time without rage, without manipulation. But days passed. Then weeks. The headlines died down. The views on the video plateaued. The world moved on. But I couldn't. Everywhere I looked, there was something of hers. The pencil marks on the door frame from when I measured her height. Her first softball trophy, still dusty on the shelf. The old photograph of her and her mother in the backyard, Madison covered in dirt and laughter. What hurts most about betrayal isn't the act itself, it's knowing the love was real and watching it be used against you like a weapon. I began to wonder if I should have done things differently. Should I have just paid for the wedding? Let her have that ridiculous fantasy day, if only to preserve what little we had left? Maybe then she wouldn't have gone this far. Maybe then she wouldn't have hated me so easily. But then I remembered what Lenny told me the night after we exposed her. Love without boundaries isn't love, he said. It's surrender. You didn't lose her, Harold. She walked. Still, I checked my phone every morning. Still, I left that porch light on. One afternoon in late September, a letter came in the mail. Not a text. Not an email. A handwritten letter. From Madison. The envelope was plain. No return address. Just my name, written in shaky cursive I hadn't seen since she was in 6th grade. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened it with fingers that trembled more than I'd like to admit. Dad, I'm not writing to apologize. Not yet. I'm not ready for that. I don't know if I ever will be. I still think you were cruel. I still think you wanted to punish me. But I've had time to think. And I see now that I was cruel too. Maybe worse. The truth is, I don't even know who I am without the attention. The likes. The staged posts. The narrative. I didn't set out to hurt you the way I did. But once the lies started, they got easier. Easier than telling people my own dad told me no. It felt like survival. But maybe it was just pride. I've lost a lot. I might lose more. But I wanted you to know. I've been seeing a therapist. And I think about Mom a lot. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I hope one day you can. I miss Sunday pancakes. Love. Madison. I read it 3 times. Then I cried. Not because she said sorry, but because, for the first time in years, I believed she meant it. I didn't call her. Not right away. Instead, I folded the letter, slipped it back into the envelope, and placed it in the drawer beside my chair, right next to her mother's wedding ring. Over the next few weeks, I went back to my routines. Early mornings, long walks, Sunday church. Sometimes, I'd pass by people at the grocery store who gave me awkward smiles, unsure whether I was the villain or the victim. I didn't care anymore. Let them wonder. Let them decide. One morning, I got another envelope. Smaller. Neater. Inside was a Polaroid. Madison. standing in front of a small community center, holding up a sign, Volunteer of the Month. On the back, just 2 words, still trying. By October, I finally called. She didn't answer. I didn't leave a message. I figured she'd know it was me. She always did. Then, 3 days later, a knock on the door. It was her. No makeup, hair tied back, dressed like the girl I remembered, comfortable, awkward, human. I didn't know if I should come, she said. I opened the door wider. You did. She stepped inside, looked around. Her eyes landed on the shelf. Her softball trophy, the photos, her mother's picture. Everything's still here, she whispered. Of course it is. We sat at the table in silence for a while. Then I made pancakes. She didn't talk much that first visit. Neither did I. But she came back the next week. Then the week after. We didn't talk about the video, the fraud, the ruined wedding. Not yet. That scar was still fresh. But she helped me with groceries, replanted my front garden, brought me coffee once with a sticky note that said, "No poison. Promise." I didn't laugh, but I smiled. Healing didn't happen like it does in movies. There was no big speech, no dramatic tears, just small moments, quiet gestures, time. And in time, I started to believe again. Not in her, in us. She asked me once, "Do you think Mom would have been disappointed?" I didn't answer right away, but when I did, I said, "I think she'd be proud that you found your way back." Madison looked down at her coffee. Her hand gripped the cup a little tighter. Then she whispered, "Me too." Rebuilding a relationship with someone who once tried to destroy you is like learning to walk after a stroke. Every step feels unnatural. You question your balance. You expect to fall. Madison and I didn't speak of the past often, but it lived between us like a shadow. One evening in November, she stayed for dinner. It was the first time she'd done that since the night she'd slipped the pill into her own dessert. She helped me set the table. She even brought a pineapple cinnamon, her mother's favorite. When we sat down, she hesitated before picking up her fork. "I remember this table," she said softly. "We used to have meatloaf Thursdays." I chuckled. "You always hated it. You always made too much." We both laughed, genuine, for once. But then she went quiet again. Her eyes didn't meet mine when she said, "I still don't know why I did it, Dad." I didn't say anything. She continued, "I think somewhere along the line, I convinced myself I was owed something. That all your hard work, all your sacrifice, meant I deserved a reward. A wedding, a stage, a crown. I didn't care if it came at your expense." I looked at her for a long time. "You weren't born selfish," I said. "But this world feeds it to people like candy." Madison blinked away sudden tears. "I wanted to punish you for saying no. I thought it would make me feel powerful." I nodded. "Did it?" She shook her head. "It made me feel small." She started attending counseling regularly, brought me pamphlets sometimes, asked me to read parts of her journal. Her therapist had encouraged her to reconnect not through apology, but through accountability. "I don't want to erase what I did," she told me. "I want to learn from it. All of it." There were still days when I didn't trust her. Days when I caught her looking at her phone too long, or when she joked a little too quickly, and I'd wonder, is it real this time? But then she'd walk with me down to the lake like we used to, or play Scrabble with the same absurdly long words she made up as a kid. She even fixed the old bird feeder in the backyard without asking. And slowly, the shadow between us began to shrink. In early December, we went to visit her mother's grave. It was cold, wind biting through our jackets. Madison brought white tulips, her mom's favorite. We stood there in silence for a while. Then she knelt and placed the flowers. She looked up at the headstone, eyes glassy. "I thought of you a lot during the wedding mess," she whispered. "And I don't know if I can ever face you, wherever you are." I put a hand on her shoulder. "She'd see you now, not then." Madison looked at me. "Do you?" I nodded. "I try." But the world outside didn't forget. One morning, as I opened my email, I saw a message from a local reporter. They were doing a follow-up story on the viral video from August. Apparently, someone had leaked that Madison and I were speaking again and they wanted my side. I showed Madison the email. Her hands shook as she read it. "They're going to drag it all back up." "They will." She looked at me. "Should I do another post?" "Get ahead of it." I studied her face. "What do you want to say?" She didn't answer immediately. Then, "Nothing. I don't want attention anymore. Not for the pain. Not for the healing." I nodded. "Then don't." But I did write back to the reporter. Told them we had nothing to say. that some stories deserve to stay private. Christmas came, then New Year's, and with it, a strange peace. Madison came by on Christmas Eve with a box wrapped in newspaper comics, just like she used to as a kid when she forgot to buy wrapping paper. Inside was a framed photo of the three of us, her mother, and me in her 10th birthday. She'd had it color restored and cleaned up. I stared at it, my throat tight. "Where did you find this?" "I had it saved on an old hard drive," she said quietly. "I thought you should have it." We sat beside the fire that night, sipping cocoa. Outside, snow began to fall. And for the first time in over a year, I felt like a father again, not a victim, not a lesson. Just a dad, sitting beside his daughter, trying to feel the world turning back toward hope. But healing, like grief, has stages. And the final test came sooner than I expected. It was January 9th when the letter arrived. From a district attorney's office. Madison's past actions, fraud, identity theft, digital impersonation had finally reached legal review. Not because I'd pressed charges, but because a financial watchdog had flagged her credit activity from last year. Apparently, one of her applications tripped an alert system. I read the letter 3 times before I called her. She came over immediately, pale, fingers twitching. "What does this mean?" she asked. "It means they're investigating. It might lead to charges." Her mouth fell open. "But you said you didn't go to the cops." "I didn't." She started pacing, like a caged bird. "They'll drag it all up again. The podcast, the video, everything. They might." Madison looked at me, panicked. "You can stop this, right? I mean, you could vouch for me. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding." "No." Her mouth dropped. "Madison," I said gently, "I protected you once. The rest is out of my hands. This is part of what it means to be accountable." She sat down, shaking. "Will I go to jail?" I didn't know. I told her the truth. But I promised her one thing. Whatever happens, I'll be here. She cried. And I didn't look away. The investigation is still ongoing. She may face consequences. Or she may not. The world is inconsistent that way. But I see her every week. We go for walks. We cook. We talk about her therapy. She's learning how to work again, taking part-time jobs at nonprofits, helping seniors learn how to use smartphones. The irony isn't lost on me. I still don't know what the future holds. But I know this. She's no longer the daughter who framed me at dinner. She's not the girl who demanded a fairy tale wedding, no matter the cost. She's something else now. Something human. Something healing. And as I watch her help an old man at the library reset his email password, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Pride.